Are the Chicago Bulls finally ready to admit their mistake with Patrick Williams? It seems like they may be in line with that. We're going to talk about all that, plus Josh Giddey being ranked amongst the top 15 point guards in the NBA. We'll talk about all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls. Locked On Bulls is a member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you guys by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. With that said, P. Will, the Chicago Bulls reportedly are in the place right now where everything is on P. Will. Now, this is something that we heard early in the offseason, that everything was on P. Will right now. Well, according to Evan Sidgery of Bleacher Nation, he talked a little bit about Patrick Williams' situation, and he talked specifically about how there's nothing guaranteed for P. Will, is that P. Will is going to have to earn his role with the Chicago Bulls this upcoming year. And when I saw this article, it was like music, because the one thing that I think a lot of people, and me and Pat have discussed a little bit here as well, is that the people question, would P. Will be still in the rotation based off his contract, if nothing else? And I had, when me and Pat had that conversation, my response was, I hope not. Like, if P. Will is going to be in the rotation, let him earn it. If P. Will is going to be getting, even if it's coming off the bench, let him earn it. No longer should the Bulls be affording P. Will any type of luxury just because he was their first draft pick here. That doesn't matter anymore. He was the fourth overall pick. Yeah, cool. But that didn't, it's not that anymore. We got to move on from that. You have new players now here with the Bulls, and I'll read the exact Elias Schuster report here in a second. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to it is that with P. Will, every year that you add more forwards to this team, P. Will has to do more to stand out. And we now know Modest Buzelis is the starting power forward. He's not losing that role. You can tell by the way that the Bulls push him, the way that he is in social media, and just the player that he is. He stepped into a role that Patrick Williams had last year, and he thrived in it by not really getting that many more shots. And the more shots that he was getting, which was about 1.5 more shots from P. Will, just came from being more active. I've seen so many people try to make some excuses about, the Bulls were playing completely different basketball when Modest Buzelis moved to the starting line. They were using him completely different. No, what you saw in the difference there was somebody who gave a damn. That's what you saw. You saw somebody who came out there and was willing to give the effort that it took to stay on the basketball court. That's what you saw. So now with Modest clearly the starting four, that brings in, all right, well, can P. Will slide over to the three? So many Bulls fans over the last few years, oh my God, put him at the three. When he moves to the three, he's going to be unlocked. No. With Noah Essengay there, with Julian Phillips, who I think even he was better than P. Will defensively last season and playing in transition. He was getting off the bench before P. Will towards the end of that season. And you have Kevin Huerter as well, who's going to be playing that three role. And Noah Essengay is going to be trying to fight for minutes somewhere in there. The opportunity and the lane for P. Will to get opportunities on this team lessens every single year. Now, I want to get to Elias Schuster and what he said in regards to Patrick Williams into that. He said, indeed, the Bulls appear willing to eat their 5-year, $90 million mistake. They're not going to force the issue with Williams and continue to uplift him amid subpar results. As frustrating as it is that they put themselves in this situation in the first place, I cannot help but respect that mindset. The Bulls have too many young pieces to evaluate and develop to waste time waiting for Williams to come into his own. One thing Elias Schuster is doing there is he is speaking for the majority of Bulls fans. You guys know I was a P. Will defender for a while there. I was probably one of the last people in the Bulls community to turn on P. Will, because I just thought, like, give him a chance. He's this, like, and then you say things that you got people say things like this. He doesn't fit any NBA team. That's not correct. P. Will would fit any NBA team if he actually play like this. The problem isn't P. Will's skill set. It's not his inability to fit a NBA team. It's that he doesn't care. The biggest problem with P. Will has nothing to do with skill set. P. Will has a modern skill set. He can shoot the three ball decently enough, and he can play defense. The problem is that P. Will doesn't care. He's not one of those people who cares the most about basketball, and you can tell in that. He's too passive, right? One of the problems, like for example, Matas Buzelis played in a way that you knew eventually those minutes were going to come for him. You saw the desire from him to get those minutes. P. Will, somebody that I guarantee you, if Billy Donovan came to him right now and said, yeah, we got 12 minutes off the bench for you, people will say, okay, yeah, cool. Thank you for that. If you go to Matas Buzelis and say, we got 12 minutes off the bench for you, Matas will look at you and say, for now. And he would go out there and put in the work necessary to move into it to where you have to play him. P. Will don't have that drive. He don't have that. So now to hear that P. Will is at the place where the Bulls, I should say, are at the place that P. Will now can be. Well, the Bulls are like, P. Will, if you're going to be into this rotation, you got to go out and earn it. You got to go out and earn it. And hopefully he does. Like, I'll say this. If P. Will comes into this training camp and he earns a role with the Bulls and plays that way at the start of the season, I'll shut the hell up. Cool, great, no problem, no hard, no foul at that point. But how many times over the last few years have we seen P. Will lose his starting position? We've all known he was going to have the starting position again, or at the end of the season he loses it, and flip around at the beginning of the season, he's right back into the same starting position. There have been so many caveats afforded to P. Will over the last few years that I'm glad the Bulls are late to the party, but I'm glad they finally arrived, because you are now at the place where many Bulls fans have seen this going for years at this point in time. P. Will ain't it. And I know that's not the most analytical conversation or piece to have around this, but he's not it. He hasn't shown himself to be it. He hasn't shown himself to want it either. And so much of this is desire. And one of the biggest things for me, which was a turning point for me personally on P. Will, was the fact that he slid defensively last year. And I for one, hope for him it was the foot. If it was the foot and P. Will can get back to being a 9.5 point per game scorer on 40% shooting efficiency and multifaceted defender, there's a role for that. It's not $18 million worth. It's not $90 million worth it, though. But that's the Bulls' point. The Bulls should have come to this place off season ago, before they gave P. Will $90 million. And the market was telling you there's no way in hell P. Will's getting that money from anybody but y'all. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Haize, you think we can recoup some value this year enough to no, there's, and that again, in which you would have to play P. Will to hope to recoup any value. And if he doesn't earn a role, he's not playing. He shouldn't be playing. At this point, the Bulls need to be willing to do what other NBA teams have done. It's a bad contract. You may just have to eat it. So it just is what it is when it comes down to it. I don't think it's going to change. Well, I do think that P. Will's mindset's going to, the way they use P. Will is going to change. But at this point, anybody saying, let's play P. Will to up his trade value, you're just as bad as AK was last year. We should be playing for development. That's it. We should be playing for development. So let's see what happens here. But, I feel like this is a good step and a right step for the Chicago Bulls to be making, to be at the place where nothing's guaranteed for P. Will anymore. Too much has been guaranteed for him with not enough results for far too long. And it's really time that again, let him go out and earn it. Let him outplay Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry, Isaac Okoro, Noah Essengay, and Kevin Huerter. If you can outplay those five guys and earn a role on this team, great. If you don't outplay them, we got guys. We got people that are here that, I tell you what, Dalen may not be the shooter P. Will is, but I think Dalen played with a lot more energy down the course of that season. And I think that what we saw from Dalen before we got to make a decision to extend him or not, I'd rather take a look at that. Julian Phillips is better in transition. Not the shooter that P. Will is either, but I think he's a better rebounder and rim protector. I'd rather see that at this point. You brought in Isaac Okoro for his point of attack defense. I'd rather see that. So we'll see. Like, again, I hope for P. Will's sake that the defensive dip was because of the foot. Because if it was, great. If it wasn't, it's gonna be a tall test for you to get back into this rotation if that was the case, again, in my personal opinion. Next up, we're going to be talking about Hoops Hype listing Josh Giddey as one of the top 15 point guards in the NBA. But first, we got to get to the message from Game Time. Have you ever decided at last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes all that possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming MLB game. Tired of the endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal? Game Time's zone deals pick the best seats in your section for you. Seat views right in the app before you buy, so you know exactly where you'll be. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans, I want to thank you guys for staying in tune with us here over on Locked On Bulls. Pat the Designer is on his way to Bears training camp. That is why he could not make the episode live today. Nonetheless, we're holding it down. With that said, Hoops Hype created a list of the top 15 point guards heading into the 2025-26 season. And Josh Giddey ranked one spot below LaMelo Ball in that list. LaMelo Ball, number 14. Josh Giddey came in at number 15. And how do you feel about this, right? I think when you look at it, and one thing that Hoops Hype points out as well is that Josh Giddey is the unique skill set that he brings to the point guard position. His ability to rebound, how he grew as a shooter last year as well, how he creates for others. And so I dug a little deeper into this, right? And I just wanted to see what and how Josh Giddey manipulated the offense last year. And so most of Josh Giddey's assists last year were to the big men. The biggest portion, the percentage of his assists went to Nikola Vucevic, actually, which I think when you look at how consistent Nikola Vucevic was last year over some other years, that plays a part into that. And then Zach Collins and Jalen Smith. When you combine the assists to those three big men, it accounted for almost half of Josh Giddey's assists. Now, the second and third highest players that he assisted on buckets last year was Coby White and Zach LaVine, with Modest Buzelis being fourth as far as just the players. So that shows to me that Josh Giddey, not only in the half-court offense with Nikola Vucevic and the bigs, created pretty nicely for them, but that growth that we saw of his ability to play with like a Coby White, how the effect that he had on a player like Modest Buzelis last year as a player that hasn't been able to create his own shot yet. Josh Giddey is a really good point guard. And I love when lists like this come out that are independent of Bulls creators and independent of Chicago Bulls media, because I think for some people that still have questions over how good Josh Giddey can be at his job, which is playing point guard, I think a lot of people still have their blind spots on that. And it's fair. He only played a season with the Chicago Bulls, the latter half of the season where he really exploded scoring-wise. And we know that a lot of you guys, and no offense, or more casual NBA fans, you're not looking at the analytics of how he creates open shots. You're not looking at the analytics of the assist variance. You're not looking at that. You're looking at the box score, and that's fine. I don't even say that as a knock in this case, right? And so with Josh Giddey and the importance, especially when you look at how this now translates over to the contract situation with the Bulls and Josh Giddey, I think that the Bulls, because they do want Josh Giddey here long-term, also see the potential of Josh Giddey being one of the better point guards in the league. But they are taking advantage of the market. They're also taking advantage of there's not a lot of money for restricted free agents out there. We knew that coming into the season. And also the opportunity to get him on maybe a shorter than the full 5-year deal, but have the opportunity to say, all right, now Josh Giddey, go out there and show us over the next 2-3 years of how good you can be. We got the max ready for you if you prove it. And I know that the situation, how it's gone between if you're a Josh Giddey fan or stan and you're a Josh Giddey doubter, the difference of opinions and views of how that's gone. We've talked a lot about that over the course of the all season as well. But to me, it comes down to over the course of Josh Giddey's career, he hasn't gotten to play a whole lot of actual point guard, which is his best role. I think that even at still being 22 years old, there's still room for growth there for Josh Giddey. But when your OKC Thunder career ends on a bad playoff series, that team then goes and turns around and wins a championship, and it's wrong, but people are going to look at it. Well, they won a championship after trading Josh Giddey, ignoring the fact that they also added Isaiah Hartenstein. Shea got better last year. J-Dub also improved as a player last year, but that's a story for another day, right? Is that this next period of time, especially next season, there are going to be a lot of Josh Giddey doubters, fans, whatever, that make and determine their opinion based on Josh Giddey, based off just what they see at the start of the season. And I hope for one that Josh Giddey can shut up all those doubters. I'm not somebody, like, I feel like one of the weirdest things that you can possibly have as a fan of a sports team is when you want to see somebody fail specifically just so you can be right about something. That's literally one of the worst things that you can do. It's one of the weirdest things that some sports fans do, is that they want to see a player fail just so they can be right. And that's not me, right? That's not me when it comes down to it. I want to see the people in my uniform succeed. I just got done talking about P. Will and how I'm happy that P. Will isn't going to be guaranteed a role on this team. But what I'll say is that if P. Will does come into training camp and shows and prove it, I'm not going to say, oh my God, no, don't play him so I can be right that he doesn't care. And there's a lot of that going on right now when it comes to Josh Giddey and how he's talked about inside the Bulls community. Outside the Bulls community, it's different, and it's a whole different level of things. But inside the Bulls community, the way that he's talked about, I hope that he proves those guys wrong, because that would then mean that we have every offseason. I say this with every sport that I cover. I cover the Sky, the Bears, the Fighting Illini, of course, the Chicago Bulls on multiple channels, right? And the thing that I say in every sport, in every single sport, is that every offseason, every transaction, it should be about eliminating a question, right? And how many questions that you can eliminate on your team each offseason shows how you can raise your ceiling. If Josh Giddey is good, right, and he proves to be what he says that he wants to be, if he proves to be a player that at the point guard position, you can say that you have your point guard, you can lock that in. That eliminates one thing that the Bulls have to worry about. Same thing with Modest. If Modest continues his development and shows and proves he's the power forward of the future, or the small forward, whatever position, he's the forward of the future, that eliminates a question. If Noah Essengay ends up developing at the rate that you look at him and he's a starter in this league, that eliminates a question. Everything that you do should be about eliminating at least one question. Signing Trey Jones eliminated the backup point guard question. That's what this should be about. And so, like, people who want to create more questions for a team just so they can be right about something, it's weird. It's strange. It's awkward, right? So eliminate those questions. That's what it comes down to. That's what the Bulls need to be trying to do. And I hope that Josh Giddey, he shuts up people so that we can eliminate that question, that our point guard role is no longer a question anymore, that we have our point guard of the now and the future, maybe more shorter term future based off the rumored deal that may be going down, but nonetheless, eliminate that question. So, shout out to Josh Giddey for being recognized by Hoops Hype as one of the top 15 point guards in the league. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was listed as number 1. Luka Doncic was number 2 on that list as well. If you guys want to know that, Jalen Brunson was listed as number 3. Shout out to Jalen. Cade Cunningham at number 4. He definitely deserves that. So hopefully that continues to grow, and we'll see what Josh Giddey can do, man. We'll see what happens here for that. But that's it for that topic. We're gonna keep the conversation going, though. We're gonna be talking about Bulls Fest, and I'm gonna be announcing a giveaway for Chicago Bulls Fest that we're going to be doing here at Locked On Bulls. So stay in tune with that one. But first, before we talk about that, we have to get into a message from Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from one app on your phone or computer. Open Phone lets me manage business calls and texts from a single app. The shared inbox feature is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. And their AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer. OpenPhone is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans. So, last topic of the day. And I put this at the end because I wanted to see how many of y'all are freeloaders. Because everybody wants to do a giveaway, but you had to stick throughout the whole show to get there. So, Bulls Fest is going down at the end of August, and we will be there. Locked On Bulls, we'll be there. We will be representing the Locked On Podcast Network while we're there. And so I wanted to do something special. For that weekend. It's the weekend of August 23rd through 24th. So, to announce this, we got three things that you need to do to be able to qualify. This is it. You have to be subscribed to Chicago Bulls Central, the Windy City Breeze, and Locked On Bulls. You have to be subscribed to all three of those. All you got to do other than that is email us. Or you can send me a DM on Twitter as well, but you got to send your screenshots of you being subscribed to all three channels. I, at Bulls Fest, will be giving away two Chicago Bulls shirts, Modest Buzelis shirts at Bulls Fest. So again, you have to be subscribed to all three channels: Chicago Bulls Central, the Windy City Breeze, and Locked On Bulls. Once you're subscribed to all three of those, all you got to do is either email me or send me a DM on Twitter showing me that you're subscribed to all three channels. And of course, you have to be at Bulls Fest. You have to be going to Bulls Fest as well. You get to meet us in person. I may even buy you a drink. So there goes that. But you have to do all those three things. My email is bullscentralpod@gmail.com. My Twitter is @CEO Haize. We want to make Bulls Fest the best that it possibly can be this year. We want to have fun. We want to interact with you guys. We've been at every year of Bulls Fest that's gone on. They had no Bulls Fest last year, so of course we weren't there last year, but we've been there every single year. Saturday, August 23rd, while I am at Bulls Fest, I will be giving away Modest Buzelis merch to 2 lucky people, but you have to be subscribed to all three channels. And when you send me the DM, it has to be, and I need all the messages, the emails and DMs. I need them all in by the 20th of August. So that's Wednesday, August 20th. That's the cutoff. If you have not entered by then, I ain't got nothing coming for you. And when you DM me, I will tell you where you can meet me at Bulls Fest, and we will do the random giveaway at that point in time. So that is the giveaway. We're doing something special for Bulls Fest 2025. I'm not reminding y'all every single day. I'm going to say it today. I'm going to say it on Friday's episode. I'm also going to say it a couple of times each week between now and then. I'm not reminding y'all I'm trying to give y'all some free stuff every single day. Show up, show out, support, show love, and I got something coming for y'all. That's all I can say on that one. That's it. Even if you're a Josh Giddey hater, I got something coming for you. So that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. So make sure you guys enter so we can give you some free stuff. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to fellowship, give y'all some free stuff. I appreciate y'all for all the support and how y'all rock with Locked On Bulls every single day. But that's my time. We'll be back tomorrow with Pat the Designer, so make sure you guys stay in tuned and locked in with us. You can follow us at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me at CEO Haize. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, Fubo TV, basically anywhere you want us, you can get it. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, y'all. Peace.